Sweat Equity Podcast and streaming show, #1 comedy business podcast in the world. Universe. All right. Pragmatic entrepreneurial advice and dick jokes. 2020's best small, medium enterprise, best business advisory podcast in the US of A from Lux Global Excellence Awards, proudly hosted by Lux Life Magazine. Yeah, that's a real award. It's a trophy
Got
stamp,
it in an
whatever.
email.
Yeah. Hosted by me, Law Smith. Sitting to your right. My right, your left on the tube is Eric Redinger. Hashtag GirthyRI. Hashtag 69B2B. Hashtag Sweat Equity. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Vimeo, your mom's Walkman, whatever it is. This episode is sponsored by Grasshopper. Try grasshopper.com/sweat and get you $75 off an annual plan. What's Grasshopper, you say? It's a business phone line, scalable business phone line. You got a side hustle, you got another job, you got a brand you're trying to build up, where you need a business phone line. Don't have a Google Voice number, and don't let it just go to your personal number unless you answer the phone like No Limit Studios. It gets a laugh like maybe a quarter of the time.
Am I supposed to keep laughing at it?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
okay.
my favorite way to answer the phone. Try grasshopper.com/sweat. Gets you $75 off an annual plan. That's trygrasshopper.com/sweat. Lackey Sweat, 75 bones off an annual plan. Our other two sponsors, ExpressVPN. What's a VPN? Virtual private network. Don't get your IP checked. Incognito don't work like you think it does. Try expressvpn.com/sweat. Gets you 3 months free off an annual plan there. And then if you have sunglasses, eyeglassware, prescription style, Warby Parker, warbyparkertrial.com/sweat. Gets you 5 free pairs to try on at home. We've got Miss Kimberly Lackey, Empath by Kimberly Lackey, empathcoaching.com. Are we ready to get the show started?
Okay.
Howdy toddy!
About my sweat equity. Sweat equity. Sweat equity. My sweat equity. My sweat equity. What about my sweat equity?
Wow.
Kimbo Slice, yeah. You haven't been on the show in a while, like 3 years? 2 years.
It's almost been 2 years to the date because I
Really?
know, yeah,
Really?
because I was on here on my 40th birthday. Literally, I
Happy
came to your.
birthday.
When is your birth? We
Yeah,
should know that.
Well,
man.
it is in the month of December, and I was in your studio in Ybor.
Yeah.
The day I remember, I went to I was feeling very successful on my 40th. I went to boxing. I had like a boxing demonstration with my instructor in Hyde Park in the morning. I showed up on your podcast in like exercise clothes with my turmeric juice. Eric was totally not a fan.
Ready to punch
Eric
me,
was
huh?
such a dick
Not
that
that
day.
I'm not
On your
like,
birthday?
I know. I'm not, and I
I was like, I know
did-
it's her birthday too. I don't care.
I mean, I came in with the freaking birthday crown. Not
Not
impressed.
impressed? No.
Was not impressed. No.
You had a tiara, I believe, right?
Exactly. I
Did you
mean, I was
really?
like, hey, it's my definitely. I did not do that.
Man, I don't know why Eric hated your guts so much.
Exactly.
It's so awkward, talking about it, I guess, with
mean,
the three of us in the room.
I'm
but-
kind of awkward that I made that joke. I did not do that.
I feel
didn't-
nothing about it.
I didn't
I don't
do
feel
that.
any awkwardness.
Except the turmeric juice. I did bring that.
Yeah.
I brought that in.
Yeah, no, I remember Eric getting all audio Nazi on you about clinking
You
the
didn't
glass.
remember? I just told you that. That's
remember
why
it.
you
I don't
remembered it.
remember that, no.
And I didn't remember it either. Kim told me that,
Yeah.
and that's how it got back to you.
But
You
look
didn't
at what we
remember
have
nothing.
today. Coffee.
That's
He
what you
is
wanna-
letting me sitting
well,
here with the coffee.
he is
I'm
letting
not going to
you.
touch it. I'm sort of just looking at it. I'm scared.
Yeah.
But it's here.
Don't sip on the mic. Eating
Yeah.
food. I do remember we had some kind of food or something, and I was like, we can't eat on the mic because it's so gross. It grosses me out. I have the opposite of the, what is it, ASMR or whatever.
Yep.
Whatever it's called, where
Oh.
they get on the mic and they're like, this is how I eat. Like
Well,
that.
in all seriousness, that is one of the worst sounds. Like sounds
Right.
in general are not
Yes.
awesome to me. Like the clicking of pins and all that. Don't like it.
Really?
Hearing someone
Clicking of pins?
yeah, and hear like a repetitive, annoying sound. Hearing someone chew.
Oh yeah, that's
Sipping that. No. So you know what? I
Disgusting.
can. Well, but some people
especially the way
do.
he just did it.
Yeah. Num-nums.
You know, I wanna,
Num-nums.
I probably do need some mic lessons from you all because in a totally separate pile of problems. Oh, I just did it. I heard myself.
Yeah, but that was just a mouth noise. That wasn't eating.
Okay, well, in a separate
We'll take
column,
that out in post.
Thank you. Except that I totally know you don't do that. You just
What are
say
you
that
talking
to
about?
people.
Of course.
He says that.
I say it.
You
I
just
don't.
say it. You're not gonna do it.
Eric is the engine that drives this machine. So if he doesn't take it out in post,
This engine's out of gas.
I ain't taking it out in post.
Okay, I'm
He
okay
does.
with it.
Wait, you do a little bit of audio cleaning, right?
A little.
Yeah.
But I'm not chopping out content.
You're not chopping out yum yums.
Right.
Is there a setting in that? Is Audacity for that?
There totally should be if there
Take out
isn't.
yum yums. Yeah.
In my karaoke experience, and when I in my years of attempting karaoke, I have received feedback on holding the mic closer. That would really help my performance.
Yeah, it's strange. I don't remember the first days of doing stand up, but you definitely don't know how close to put the mic to your mouth, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And if you're doing stand up, also like karaoke,
Yeah.
I would imagine that every mic is different.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So you just don't know, and the audio setup's different. So you have to get a feel for it.
Yeah, you get a better ear at it,
Mm-hmm.
even though I have terrible hearing. But sometimes it just helps to go, can y'all hear me? Just straight up.
Well, okay. Well, that is next time I'm
Break
up
the fourth
on the
wall.
mic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, "Excuse me, audience. Can you? Is this coming?
Don't say
through
excuse
clear?"
me on it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you don't need to be polite. You just need to be directive and just go, can y'all hear me?
Well, that's kind of a
Because
good
I couldn't
lead
hear
in.
the last person, that was up there.
The polite part. That's a good lead into the next topic. But
Well, so yeah, we were all
Kim's got topics ready to go.
we were all kind of shooting the shit about dating. We'll weave this. I'm going to see if I can weave this into more of the entrepreneurial life with dating, so it kind of keeps with our core theme a little bit. But we were talking about you had some bad date stories, and I love bad date stories.
you have some too.
I've got a lot. Yeah.
Who doesn't? I mean, if you're dating, honestly, and that's not. I'm like optimistic to a fault in basically everything. So I'm not trying to be down on dating or negative about it. But honestly, if you're dating and you're like actually, like, who doesn't have bad stories? People are gonna have. It is a topic of comedy because it is hysterical.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Well, the comedy is about, if you break down comedy, it's conflict or contrast, and it's always awkward. It's a lot, like, I compare a lot of, when I had my agency, it was a lot of business meetings, because it'd be a referral, which would be like someone setting you up on a date sometime. And you
Right.
don't really know them, you don't know their business, so you're trying to get to know them, and it feels a lot like a first date. Like, I try to ask a lot of questions.
The implications aren't the same.
I'm trying to business bang them.
Right.
I'm trying to make a
I'd
transaction
like
of some
to
sort.
bang your business,
Well,
please.
look, if
I'd like
the
to
end-
make a deposit. Okay.
Let's just get like really romantic here and say that if the end goal is either a relationship or marriage, that's a freaking business. Marriage.
Oh yeah. It should be operated like one.
Yeah, that is. That's what I'm
I
saying.
think-
Like,
What a
ooh, this is
romantic-
really. Let's bust out the flowers.
I think it's in pragmatism. I think it's stoicism. I think it's that you end up having to get there. It was one of those things. I brought it up on the podcast. The spontaneity is not romantic. I can't remember.
Yeah, I
comedian.
agree. Selfish.
I think it seems romantic, but I heard a comedian on You Made It Weird. I can't remember her name. Emily, I think. She goes, no, planning is really
Yeah.
romantic. It's not sexy to plan, but
Thoughtfulness.
Right. It shows
Yeah.
you
Right.
care. And planning with whoever you're with is like the most romantic thing you can do. And I was like, yeah, I get that. I totally get that. Because
Yeah.
spontaneity sucks. Like, especially
that can
if
flop. You wouldn't like the best delivery and the most well thought out scenario does seem spontaneous, but like that's like any of your stand up
Sure.
bits that you do. I mean, you're not going. That's not spontaneous. You're delivering it as if.
Yeah.
But I mean, you had to.
you
plan that
obsess
out.
about it. Yeah, yeah. It's a lot. It's made to look like it's spontaneous, but it's not.
So what thoughtful plan have you rolled out on a date that you obsessed about?
No, I'm just saying. I'm saying just if you're in the middle of a relationship, I think we get. I don't know. I think it's a hard conversation to have where you have to kind of undo someone's thinking of like, I think it's really romantic to plan kind of thing. Because that doesn't sound hot at all. That's like that's not romantic. That's not.
But I mean, I do
swashbuckling.
Do you? I mean, do you believe? I think that there are.
Swarthy.
I have my
What?
Yeah, you got
my
dropped.
soundboard with a guest now. I forgot.
Yeah.
Wow.
We forgot to mention Kim's like our first. Did we say that on air?
First guest in a year in person.
Longer than that.
Really?
Are we going to get
'cause it was at
COVID
my
in
house.
trouble? Are we going to get in trouble by your listeners?
I already had it.
Me too.
Like herpes.
High five. Oh yeah, I don't have that. I'm not claiming
I don't
that.
like.
You're saying
think,
like that.
Yeah, as if I
COVID
had
is
it.
to herpes, like an
I had
analogy.
to just tell people like I had it. I felt like because maybe I hugged a friend that I don't
Because
remember.
you felt herpes. Like what? I had to
No,
tell
like
people I felt like
you
that.
remember the old '90s commercials where it's like,
feel like herpes
"Hello,
today."
Samantha. We went on a date the other night. Well, I got something to tell you," and then it would be like, now she's got to tell all her friends, and like,
And they tell
Right.
two friends.
Right.
And they tell
You don't
two
re-
friends.
Well, I do remember. I remember the Valtrex commercials with the big blue pill. So, so okay.
big
Let's-
pharma, by the way, coming in to save the day.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I don't.
Everybody
even know
hates
if
big
that's still,
pharma until you get a vaccine.
Yeah, or I mean, I'm not a real big fan myself. That definitely. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of big pharma myself, but I don't even know if that's still a drug out. I have no idea. However, in the 90s it was, and on the topic of herpes, so it's the same. It's the same.
Think we get here.
Cold sores in your mouth is the
Right.
same. So like when I was a teenager, I used to get those horribly.
I did.
Did you?
I used to until I started doing Wim Hof, and it stopped.
Wim Hof breathing. Yeah, I need to get on
All
that.
that. Yeah.
Well, my
Company picnic.
Breathe.
My
Breathe.
stepdad was an OBGYN, and so he would get these samples. And so my mom came to visit me at Auburn, War Eagle. when I
War
went
Eagle, yeah.
Mom, and I had on the back of my door in my dorm room, he had given me this like huge pack, like lots of samples of Valtrex in case I got a cold sore. And my mom like opens up my closet and she's like, Kimberly, oh my God, why do you need to hide these? And I'm like, what? I have no idea what she's talking about. And she's going, I mean, I think just
I remember that. I
Generally
remember-
speaking, she thinks I'm the most naive
Well,
person, and that was kind of.
I remember thinking it was like we didn't get the cool herpes from having sex. It was the herpes you were born with.
Yeah.
It was like
Well, let me just say
That's-
that
you don't
having
even get
ever
the-
had a cold sore in my mouth, I do not think that the other version is cool at all. That would suck.
it's cooler.
It would. It's only
At least-
cooler
I
because
guess
you've
that- it's-
attached sex to it.
Right.
I guess if you can attach sex to anything, that's pretty awesome.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm doing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
See how this?
Right.
I got this scar. Sex. Yeah, I totally agree.
Brick to the head.
Oh my God!
It improves any story.
Scars from sex would just be
Yeah.
like you almost have to write that on your forehead. You have to like write like an arrow underneath it or something because.
But you
should
never
just-
tell them what it's from, like specifically. You just go, you see this right here? It's not from when I was
Sex.
5 and hit
Bang.
my head on a tile floor. It's sex.
Or my sex scar. It's not because someone punched me in the face and was like asked me to leave sex. It was just it was like awesome.
We talked off air the other day about doing the gratitude list, kind of every morning thing, and I wrote the other day, I'm so glad I don't have any I'm so glad I'm meat and potatoes, boring vanilla sexually, because it's like
You wrote that down?
yeah, I'm grateful for that, because it'd be weird if you had that kink a lot of guys have. You know, some guys that have stuff where you're just like, wow, you spend a lot of
What?
your brain time.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of your time is thought about getting this going. You know,
Yeah,
I get what you're saying,
that is not that.
but
I don't agree. And not
do
only
you
do I
mean?
not agree, I do not agree that the being vanilla.
I'm grateful for it.
Okay.
That's all
Well,
I need. Right? That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking,
Different strokes for different folks, but
I don't think
but
it's a bad thing. I'm saying I'm so glad I don't have that thing that consumes a lot of brain power.
I think what you're
Well,
saying.
it's also an opinion, and the story that you told me the other day, and Eric was there as well. The story about
I don't know if I can tell whatever story you're
I'm
about
not
to tell.
going to say it then. Okay. Well, the story about the unfortunate scenario where, oh help!
I
can't-
blacked
Was it
out.
the bit I was telling you about?
Yeah, you
I
said
used to
the
do-
girl that you
Eric-
met,
Eric
the
wasn't
girl
there
that you
yet.
met on a comedy show, and then you
Eric was
hooked up with
Eric
her.
Was there?
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
he
Well,
knows.
whatever.
He knows the
That's
joke.
not vanilla. I
No,
don't
he
think
knows the
that's
joke.
vanilla.
Oh, I
That's
was there.
old.
I remember now. Yeah.
Were you? Were you there?
Well, I mean, I also remember your stand-up from 10
It's
years
just
ago.
a girl.
It's an old bit.
A girl that you hooked up with has.
Oh yeah, went down on a squirter. That's
Yes.
fine. But she didn't tell me she was.
I don't
And
think that's vanilla.
That's
Well,
the crux.
okay. I think the
going
difference.
down on a woman's not that crazy.
The difference for you is
I'm
you're
talking
saying
like-
you don't need it. You don't need that, but you're willing.
You're
maybe
talking like
you're
feathers
willing.
and whips
You're
and
open on
stuff.
the
Yeah,
other
I'm talking
end.
gimps.
You're
and
talking
all
like
that. Yeah.
dressing up and like
Trying to help
crawling
you out
around.
here.
I'm
Trying
fine.
to help you out.
I don't need any help. I'm saying
WrestleMania?
I know what I'm saying. I'm saying I don't need.
No, I'm saying you're still willing. On the other, if somebody else might need that, yeah.
Maybe
Okay,
if I like him enough.
never mind.
If I like him enough,
You
I
might not
guess,
start
but I
there.
don't know. It feels embarrassing.
Fucking thing sucks.
I don't think I
Well, I'm
thinking as a guy, I'm so glad I don't have this thing that is where I'm fetishizing something that I feel like the guys I know that have that spend a lot of their time thinking about it.
Okay. Well, I think also that both of you
Like
should
feet.
use self-disclosure before you're dating and make sure that these women know that you have a podcast and
tell
you're
'em-
comedians.
I tell 'em
because
straight up.
Basically, anything. It's all like fodder for showing up on your show.
Yes.
Only not.
Well-
I don't really. It's that thing of like, if they say I don't care, that's fine. But it usually a lot of the stuff they think's gonna get in there doesn't ever get out
I
there.
know. He and I get behind him. We were just messing around, just the two of us. We don't ever stay on track. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, topics.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where we're not getting into. This is why this one's a little bit fun to do this episode because we try to make sure we're not doing too many non-businessy themed shows, or episodes.
So you're saying I'm not in a business? I know.
No, but you know what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't come up as often as it does in normal conversations.
We get to talk to a lot
Sex is a business. Sex is a pretty.
Sex is a business.
What is the?
Well
it's
quoted.
the
Business
original.
is sex.
Yeah.
That's the original entrepreneurial adventure.
Oldest profession in the world. Is
Yeah,
being a
there you
hooker,
go.
Right?
I was trying to grab that. I couldn't find it.
But for this kind of thematic episode, I'd say we were just talking about bad dates, and I think it's always interesting. And I was just trying to find through lines. It does feel like doing a discovery meeting if you're trying to be outside advisory to someone, or you're doing coaching with anybody, right? With anybody, any one of your clients. That first meeting is similar to a coffee date, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, any kind of intake form, things like that,
Right.
Making sure you're a good fit. I mean, I absolutely do that with my clients. And I mean, here I also have another
Day job, and I mean we do that with
Right.
our practitioners and things like that. Yeah, have to do a little a preview and kind of.
I certainly, dating, you don't want it to sound like an interview, but it
Definitely can.
Is.
It should, and
is.
it kind of should be, but not on a. Hopefully, it can also be fun. I'm always I was this morning when I was getting dressed and coming and knowing that we were talking about this. I started laughing, thinking, I know that we're coming in here talking about like funny stories that we have, or at least like brainstorming bad dates. And I thought to myself, I had this aha moment, like, am I? I mean, of course I'm on someone else's list as a bad date. I mean, I've never thought about that for a second, but like how egotistical is that of me? I'm like, oh, I have to be, I've been divorced for 5 years. I've been on, like, I have no idea how many dates. Of course I've shown up on
That many, huh?
somebody's
Countless days.
Well,
Hey, the couple
Oh my
stories
God,
I heard, I'm
so-
sure the guys were like, that bitch.
What?
Took her out the stories you told us, remember? And they drove you really far. And
Oh, yeah.
So
you know that guy was
Marin
definitely talking
Headlands.
shit.
What's the worst one been since you've been divorced?
I mean, I feel like there's like brackets of worse, like worse. Like that
let's
one
tear
that
'em out.
that
Yeah.
one that I told you all when I'm like in this guy's car. He's driving through the Marin Headlands, telling me, I'm like,
Well, you got to tell the story now.
okay. Well, basically,
This also has like kind of a businessy thing. A lot of people get matched up in either from people at work or around the industry you're in, just because you spend most of your time at work typically,
Yeah.
right? So
It's a good safety reminder.
you were
too.
kind of set up in that kind of way, right?
I was, and I had I was pretty newly divorced at the time, and I mean, I'm so much smarter today on the dating front, but I had no idea what I was doing, and I did not think for a second. There wasn't an ounce of me that was worried or thought that there was like could be something dangerous about people, or especially if someone had set me up. So I was living in California, and I was working in the Bay Area in Northern California, and I worked as an advocate in a nonprofit. So we were constantly out with other big businesses. It was the top of the market. That San Francisco area was their number one market. So we're like working with Salesforce and stuff like that, constantly meeting tons of people. And I was the new girl on the block, and I went on tons of dates that set me up with people all the time. And I worked at an office of I want to say 100% women, and everybody was pretty young. Yeah. So this one date I went on, I was living in the North Bay of the area. Someone's driving over from the East Bay, which was a good like hour and a half. And I guess like 100% this guy did not know, but 100% his thing is like, I have driven an hour and a half drive equals sex. Like that's definitely what he thought. Me, I am.
Yeah, I'd say a lot of guys would think that.
100% clueless on that. I don't even, and someone at work was like, oh, you'd love this guy. I really would love to set you up. I didn't ask a thing. We're talking about these questions and previews right now that you should ask. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? I asked none of them. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. Sounds great.
Yeah, qualifiers for a lead. Yeah.
No qualifiers. Well, number one, turns out she does not know my type, because I walk in, it's this like Peruvian restaurant. The guy is, what can I say? What I said, he looked like he was from the Taliban.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what he looked like. He was from the Taliban.
As long as he looked like that.
He did.
If that's your experience, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's your truth.
Yeah.
Well, I can't imagine that anybody is a fan of the Taliban. Really.
Well,
how could you be?
In my head, all I can think is Osama.
God, our Kazakhstan listeners, and we actually have.
We're actually crushing it over
there. But then also, I mean, so then stereotypically, I mean, to him, it's like, no talking. I talk for a living. No speaking, no talking. I will order for you. I will do. That's on the other end of the spectrum. I mean, it's great for men to be able to make a decision, but he's like, no talking. So we're leaving, and he wanted me to go home with him to his house, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. So in his idea was, well, let's just take a drive. And again, let me tell you, today I would have ended that date, but I had this polite streak. Grown up in the South, I thought, well, let me at least be polite. So I go and we start driving.
Let him murder me. I'll be polite.
Through the Marin Headlands, and I grew up reading, like, as a kid, the first books I ever read were all this like FBI profiling stuff. I skipped right over the Babysitters Club. Totally.
Yeah. Nancy Drew?
No Nancy Drew. Like, my mom has asked me before, where did you get those books? I'm like, Mother, you bought them for me. There was no Amazon. I wasn't ordering. Like, you took me to the bookstore and we got them.
Good point.
You find them in the woods.
Anyway, and so the Marin Headlands in general have tons of stories about these like serial killers and stuff. So we're driving along. It gets pitch black, and I asked him, "Wait, where are we going?" He's like, "Oh, it's a surprise." And I start getting. I think he knew that I was getting nervous, and I'm like, "Yeah, we're turning around. No, thank you, absolutely not." And he goes, well, "Wait. It's fine. I'm safe. Here, let me give you my business card." I'm like,
see?
Right. I told him, what does that have to do with anything?
That's legit.
You giving me...
You could have gone on Vistaprint.
Your business card.
So Not just anybody can go on moo.com and get their business card. Oh, wait, everybody can.
Everyone can. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, anyway, after that, my friend in California had a major, like, come to Jesus moment with me and said, anywhere you ever are again, never again. Like, you text me when you're leaving, where you're going, she told me, I want a picture of that guy's license and yours. I never did that. I never went that far. But if we called this girl or she was on the phone, like, her stories, when she comes into town, she lives in California still, but is from Tampa. Whenever she's here, we cannot help. We'll go, wherever we're at, getting a drink or something. And she just turns on, like, her dating stories of me in California. It's like a chapter because there's a lot of them.
To bring it into the business atmosphere, I think going into things, what are your qualifiers? Make sure the people that you know that might be selling for you, what are you looking for in a person?
Oh, you always ask me that. And guess what? You always ask me that. And then I'll get on the phone with somebody, here
Just trying to find you a DILF. That's all.
When I get into work and you ask me that, I can't. My face hurts laughing so hard about that.
But
Oh.
it's one of those things where I think when you're doing business development on your own, if you're in a client kind
You
of
have to
business,
know.
but you need to put it out there too if you want people to kind of find people for you, kind of thing.
I know.
I'm not saying you have to do that.
I'm like
Explicitly with
frustrated.
dating,
But don't you
but
think
you're not
there's
actively
something...
like really needing to find a lot of hot DILFs out there right now. Like if you're like I really want to find someone now.
But that I just think, okay, so I like that you posed that question to me that way, because if I'm talking to someone on the phone and like, who's your ideal client, and they'll get frustrated. Oh, how should I know that? I don't know. And they get all frustrated. And I know when we originally started working and you did all my branding for my company, that also, I have trouble with that. On the flip side, if someone is regurgitating that to me, I'm like, no, you need to know that. That's important for your business. And when you ask me this about guys, I can easily, say certain things that would be important to me. But I feel like I don't want to back myself into a corner and go, like I have this like hard checklist.
No, but
How about deal breakers? Do you do deal breakers?
Yeah.
yeah,
Deal
I was just about to
breakers
say,
are.
There's
Thank
some
you,
things that are
Eric.
absolute, right? But there's a lot of things that are kind of gray area on a scale.
So here's a deal break, like addictions.
Okay.
That's and I mean, I think that can, some people, drinking or whatever is obviously fine. If someone says I don't drink, what does that mean to you? If someone says I
Deal
don't,
breaker, it means I'm
I
Mormon.
have a problem. I think it means also I have a problem with drinking and
Nothing
I can't.
wrong with Mormons, but I like to party.
Yeah.
Smoking, no.
My name's Eric, and I like to party.
Hey, smoking's a deal breaker, huh?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm gonna just.
Cigarettes inside a station wagon, bad.
I don't think like weed is not a problem, but like chain smoking,
It's disgusting.
that's gross. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm over here.
There's nothing grosser, is there? No grosser smell.
If I have a prejudice against something, it's overweight people.
Okay. That's fair.
And I don't need someone to be like they're ripped or something, but I just care. I when I say I care about it, not I exercise or you someone that just trying to be somewhat healthy.
Well, physical attraction is, I don't care what anybody says, it's the number. It's the first reason you're going to talk to somebody. You can't read their minds and know, I mean, if it's a stranger, you know what I'm saying? So, like, it's not crazy to say that. It's like, we were talking about on, like, the dating apps, how it's like, what's with the tricking, like, of people where it's like, the camera angles are all crazy, and it's like, you don't ever see it, and it's like, what is your goal?
Yeah, what's the end game here?
And you get there and be like, gotcha!
Right.
And like, what? Okay.
Would you walk out? Would you like if you got the
Well, Ask Law has had some moments.
I got fat fished. Not catfish, fat fish.
I get it.
Just for the listeners out there.
But what would I've never walked out
She was
because
like 70 pounds bigger than what was advertised.
one of the I sort of started telling you guys this the other day, but this friend of mine that lives in Tallahassee, we went out and she's telling me like, you've got to meet these girls I work with. They also have trouble with dating. This was like a year ago. And first of all, I'm like, well, appreciate it. Like, I didn't know that I also had trouble with that. Like, does having trouble with dating mean like I'm not in a serious relationship?
Right.
Because
Did she project that or
I
assume
guess.
that?
Right.
Because I mean, you guys don't ever hear me going around like all dating stuff.
I need a man.
I don't. Right. So
You're
anyway,
very independent. I would say one of your qualifiers was a guy that can handle that.
yeah.
Not
I mean,
codependent, all that kind of stuff. I would say is probably unattractive.
yeah. Well, and on the flip side, so the empath coaching. I mean, I am extremely empathic, and in the negative sense of that, I do attract codependent people because
Right.
I can attract that. I'm very good at knowing it now.
Because you're finding people that don't get that, and then when you sit down with them, they're like, "Whoa, she's
It's a
really
lot.
into me."
Yeah. Or also like I can go out on a date with someone and I like people. I'm happy to listen to someone's story. I'm not going to be rude about it. I
Right.
mean, if I'm listening, that doesn't mean like, oh, and yes, I would like to have sex with you now. That does not.
Right.
And what's
contact,
fun,
huh?
and because I'm empathic, this is like this is a superpower in dating is I will sit there and someone will tell me their like all of their shit. They tell me, and I'm sitting there thinking, well, that's really interesting and appreciate you letting me know. I will never go out with you again. And but guess what? I didn't have to go through like
You
6
didn't have to
dates.
dig deep.
I didn't have to go through 6 dates to figure that out. And then I think that they leave and they're like, yes,
Yeah,
that was great. And
she's into me.
she really into me
likes all this
because I
stuff.
listened.
Like all my
But
stories.
Yeah, I heard for guys, kind of the less history, more mysteries is a little bit better played as a strategy. Like,
probably for both people.
yeah,
You don't want to show up as a girl and be like, so here's the deal. My ex-husband was da-da-da-da-da, and I have this, this, and this, and excuse me, but what kind of car do you drive, and do you have to, you don't need
Right,
to, I don't
right.
think anybody needs to be doing
Yeah.
that.
No, I found myself doing it, and it is almost a self-sabotagey way, but
Yeah.
not realizing it.
But is it
I just
the
put
emotion attached to it? What if you're talking about just some great memories?
no,
you know, like
a lot
telling
of it would
sto-
be like, why? How are you single, kind of thing, or why are you single, or what are you looking for, kind of thing. I'm like, here's everything. There's what happened, and go way into too much detail because I like detail.
I do,
I like the
I
small
know.
details in stories and stuff like that. And
Well, yeah, I mean, I think
But
we
it
all
take-
do.
it takes
At
a
least the
while.
three of us will drill down on figure out the real answers.
yeah,
I was out on a date on Friday, actually, and this guy, he asked me, I mean, I've known him for a while, and he asked me, how was your Thanksgiving? How was your Thanksgiving? And we both, like, I was in DeLand, Florida. His family lives more in Central Florida, too. So we were kind of making jokes about, like, Central Florida. And he asked me one question in between, like, my apartment, going on the elevator, getting in the Uber before we get to where we are. I'm still talking about my family because, I mean, he asked, I have like, and he says to the Uber, he's like, okay, please don't give us a bad rating about that. And we get out of the car and he made kind of a joke about, okay, we're done with that. Because I was probably my family is a little bit messed up, and I was probably venting as the first person that asked me. And
Oh, he
I
straight up was like,
realized,
stop talking about
yeah,
that.
I
Oh.
realized that I didn't think I was being, and I just looked at him. I'm like, oh, okay, noted. Thanks. You asked. But I kind of appreciate that because I know that I can be long-winded.
yeah, same. For,
It wasn't a first date though. So, I mean, at least
Yeah,
it
y'all
wasn't
were
like I just
familiar.
like dumped that. But I mean, there's a line there because if you're going to be, that is how you emotionally connect with people, not being negative and going all into constantly your stuff. But I mean, if you are going to have a partner, hello, like, you do need someone to have a deeper conversation than like, oh, cool apple.
Right.
the best.
Where I came up with that.
Cool apple, dude.
Cool apple. Did you just look at the back of our computers?
She did. That's what it was.
Well, look.
That's a peach.
I
I
don't
think.
know.
Yeah, that's
I
a
don't know.
peach.
I'm trying to find where that
Or an
came from,
orange.
but
yeah. You need
how about them apples?
You might need to take. Wow.
Yes.
That's like my favorite movie.
What?
That line.
So
Someone
my
ruined
favorite.
that line for me, and I'm going to ruin it for you because no one would ever say that. Like no one would go, "How about them apples?" and put it on the.
Well, Matt Damon would. He did, as a matter of fact.
Right.
It's in the movie, but it doesn't. It's like
doesn't really make any
It
sense.
doesn't really
He
work.
didn't
Doesn't
just
have
say
any
it,
context.
He slapped
Right.
it on a thing, and
Yeah, the context within the linear story doesn't really make sense, right?
Were they talking about apples before that at all?
Yeah.
so it was equally as random as what I just said.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
if you
you're like
rewatch it, you're
Matt
like,
Damon.
oh yeah, I thought that line was boss when I saw it, and then I was like, this is terrible. Like
That's the best when you like revisit. It was like me revisiting the movie Dirty Dancing, and I'm like, oh. I was obsessed with that in like first grade, and then I revisited it, and I'm
than
like,
I remember.
How did my mother let me? Oh my God, that's what was going on.
I'm a cute Havana Nights Dirty Dancing favorite. No one? Anybody?
Oh,
Nothing?
What?
I'm
That was
lost.
the sequel.
Okay.
What about Karate Kid? Where someone
Oh.
flipped it on me totally. It was like, no, LaRusso, and they made it into Cobra Kai now, kind
Which
of thing.
is
But
amazing.
Yeah,
LaRusso was an asshole
great.
in Karate Kid, and I was like, that's why I didn't like that movie. And I never liked it. Like kids are like rolling a joint or something at a party, and he sprays water on them, and you're like, well, yeah, that guy's a dick.
Yeah. Oh, they nailed it in
Total
Cobra
party
Kai.
foul.
When the other dude retells it, you're like, oh yeah. The scene at the beach. He's like,
Yeah.
this guy comes over to my girlfriend and he starts fighting. It's like, oh yeah, what
Yeah, the
an
guy just starts
asshole.
fighting with him. Yeah.
New guy in town.
So, what other since Divorce Town, what do you have a strategy for finding
We should call the office.
that D? How about that?
Yeah, it's called Lawsmith.
Yeah. All right. I'll matchmake.
D finder.
Any listeners of the show that want to date Kim?
Oh God.
I'll broker
Wow.
it. I'll
Oh, you'll
pre-qualify.
broker it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
You'll do the qualifying first. You probably
I'm
be
trying
good
to
at
use
that.
all business
I think
terms instead of
you'd be
matchmaking.
good.
Broker it.
I think that you'd be really good at actually like. Excuse me. Could you please speak to my agent?
Yeah. I'll filter it for you.
Do the onboarding of your boyfriends.
I do feel like
I go,
you
what
know
do you?
me well.
And I'll do it like but I'll do it like I'm a brother or something. I'd be like, "What's your deal?"
Oh, which
Yeah.
you have too,
Do you
so
have any-
you'd be great.
Yeah. Do you have any arrests? What are those about? Like.
Oh my gosh.
Let's ask all the real talk questions.
Well, the arrests. I mean, okay. So say somebody has been arrested. I mean, if it's like a DUI or something, and it was a long time. I mean, it kind of now. If someone's had like 5 DUIs, that's a no.
So it
But
shows you're forgiving, or you can
I'm
see
very
people's flaws.
compassionate and understanding, but I'm like I front load with being okay, understanding, compassionate. But then if someone crosses a line, like I don't do the forgiving after someone crossed a line one time. I believe in the saying, believe someone when they tell you who they are the first time. Mm-hmm. Like if you do one decision and you show a character in a certain area, and I'm not, and you know what? Actually, a friend of mine that she's married now, but she had been divorced for about 5 years as well. And when I moved back to Tampa and started dating, she was telling me, she said, the way to not get frustrated with dating is, don't drag stuff out. Like if someone shows you that, just be like, okay, thanks for playing. Bye. And that is what I do. And that does work well for me. And that also, I mean, it's not like I was like, oh, she told me that and I'm robotically implementing it. It made sense to me.
Yeah,
So-
you don't have to make a Shark Tank dismount where
Right.
you go, your
Exactly.
distribution network's not working out for
Right.
me. For that reason, I'm out. You don't have to say shit like that, but you
Turn the lights
Exactly.
out.
you can cut it off before it leads on too much. Because guys are like puppies sometimes about it. Like, oh, this chick thinks I'm. This
Well, guys don't know if it's like, oh, she's playing hard to get.
right.
Because some girls do that. Or it's
'Cause we're
like, I
over-
want you to put in the effort. Why don't you put it like...
I think like playing hard to get also, I mean, okay, so there's a
Oh, see, now we're going to hear the double talk.
No,
and
there's
now
a
we'll be
line.
Just as confused.
there's a line on not being like available all the time, but if you're trying to do that, not being like, for instance, right now, I mean, I work a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. There could be guys that think that I'm playing hard to get. Like I am not available this whole week. Like if someone asked me out this week, I mean, I do not have a night that's free. It's not because I'm like dating 10 people. It's because of work. We have someone. So anyway, that's not playing hard to get. That's like I have a life. Let's schedule something. I totally appreciate planning, but if I'm just like, okay, so he's asking me out, and I should wait 4 days, and da da da.
Right.
That's. I feel. Yeah, that's annoying.
It's just a silly game.
Yeah.
We're all
Why
adults
bother?
now.
Right,
Like
exactly.
we shouldn't just.
Clock's
be,
ticking.
Right.
Yeah.
What time?
Yeah.
I don't like people that waste my time though. If someone wastes my time and does that to me, one person. I do not. I am single. I don't have children.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, like basically most people do have kids, and which I love children. I mean, as a side note, it's not. I don't not have kids because I like didn't want them.
Yeah, last time we did the podcast, my daughter, who had a fever of 99, was in the other room as a baby, and you're
not a fever.
You're just like, let me see.
Yeah, I mean, I love children. I used to be a school teacher. I didn't have kids. So that said, I mean, me dating a guy that has kids is not a problem for me at all. However, because I don't have kids, I don't have like as many scheduling conflicts, and I can get really sensitive about if somebody is repeatedly like kind of puts me second. Like, well, I've got and I know you have to understand. Sometimes I will talk to my girlfriends and go, is this guy kind of full of shit here?
Yeah.
I mean, he's telling me this, and this. Like, he has this with his kids, like constantly. So, but I mean, when you have little kids and they're
Well, look.
younger, I mean, it is a lot. And you have kids.
Yeah, it's an indirect relationship. We've talked about Jordan Harbinger brought it up on his show. You have the 5 people you hang out with the most influence your life, but the 5 people they hang out with also indirectly influence your life. So
Yeah.
if you're trying to date a guy that has kids and his baby mama or whatever is creating problems for him that he hasn't figured out how to kind of stifle, it's gonna get to you.
And that happens in somebody that's either getting divorced or newly divorced. They haven't, not always, but I mean, that's not a always thing, but I mean, it just takes a little bit because I mean, that relationship, I mean, obviously a divorce is a breakup, and I can't imagine if I would have had kids with my ex-husband and how that would manifest, because I would still have to, I mean, obviously we got divorced because communication breakdown and these things. And so if I had to still communicate with him, with my children, that would be stressful. That
Yeah,
just would be stressful. Like, I'm stressed out thinking about that.
Best thing I can tell anybody out there is just don't do it through the children.
Oh,
Do it-
definitely not.
A lot of people do that. And
Okay.
I remember feeling that with like friends' parents, where they're like trying to tell them something to tell the other parent, and I'd be like the friend of the kid that was getting the message. It's like, ugh. Like if I had a tie, I'd be like, ugh, bringing it out, kind of thing. But with that, I mean, it's that thing of like work-life balance. I agree with
the
you.
ex,
Time.
the crazy ex. I mean, that's a disqualifier. If someone sits down and tells me, number one, they start regurgitating to me how much their ex is a huge problem in this, like that's, they probably haven't processed or gotten over their divorce. I mean, it does
Right.
take 2, and they might be crazy, but you probably shouldn't tell that to someone you're dating. I mean. So that's one thing. And then just their overall relationship with them. I mean, if their ex is still, I mean, I dated one guy that just was constantly in court with his ex.
Same could go for hiring someone, right? You could hire someone that has this hang up with whoever they had last, that they keep bringing it up and all this stuff. And
right.
like,
I mean, that's just a direct relation to, have you taken responsibility for whatever your part is
Right.
in it, which can be really hard when you have something that, I mean, I'm trying to not talk about my ex here, but I mean, on paper, there could be really easy for me to go, how could I have done, for instance, like, I mean, I had, some parts of me being married, I was pretty sick. I could easily say, like, well, how could he have behaved X, Y, Z? But at the end of the day, I mean, you do have to take responsibility for your part and then just let it go and move on, because it doesn't do you any good. I mean, if they're out of your life, or if you're done with a job, or whatever, you're done, you're done. Like,
Yeah, because
move
you're the
over,
one carrying
process
that
it.
around.
Right,
They're not feeling that.
And it continues, just like you just said about the other 5 people you surround yourself influence.
Yeah.
It just continues to show up in your in relationships of your life. So yeah, it's not worth it. So
Yeah.
I mean, I looked for that. How well is somebody processed that type of thing?
right.
That's good.
Well, any other bad dates you want to get in there? I mean, everyone's got a bad.
I mean, I've
losing
dated a guy
virginity
that-
story.
I've dated a guy that like he wore he had like heels on his shoes. He was so short, he had heels, and
Don't be something you're not.
You know what I love, like in terms of law of attraction or making up your mind. I know I'm sitting here being, I don't mean to be wishy-washy about, but I'm just saying about not pigeonholing myself into like specifics. One time I did go on a date, and I mean, I thought like whatever you just said, fat-fished.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened. And I was so pissed about it, because it wasn't like the first time. And I was so pissed, and I didn't leave. I've never done that, but I got in the car and I'm like, I'm never not leaving again. And that has never happened to me again. So I just think like it's a good reminder to myself as I'm even saying it.
Yeah.
Be clear. And I mean, that's never happened to me again.
And I almost forgot the one thing I told a former guest, Bryant Donovan, as he's newly divorced and he was getting on the dating apps. I go, the only thing I really have advice, because he's like, how do I get in the dating app stuff and all that? I was like, I'm not really great at it. But I was like, here's one thing that I found that works on Hinge, because you can comment on people's pictures or questions they answer. And I go, if you just try to be a little bit funny, like if you're on a 1 to 10 scale, if you can get like a 3 or higher, like you'll crush it on there a lot better. Like I did a dorky A/B test where sometimes I for a while I just like a picture or like one of the answers, and it was an okay response. And then once I started like putting a little bit more time into writing something that took, I don't know, 10 seconds and was like a throwaway dad joke, like it got better results that way. And it worked for him.
It's so hard to
You better
tell.
check immediately.
I just do better with people in person. It's hard to, like, putting your time and effort into the online dating thing. I think that's hard.
I'm not willing to take the risk of just showing up and having to be like, oh, we gotta sit through this whole dinner, huh?
Oh, the other tip is also
That's what I'm saying. Like that's
Like,
where I
oh,
said I was like,
no.
I'm not staying for that again. We have to do this whole dinner. That's hysterical. But it's true. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's just better if there's some sort of in person.
Look, I think we're ready to order.
another one.
And bring the
Hurry
check
up,
with
hurry
it,
up.
whatever that is. Just
Is there a
let's go.
speed eating
Right.
option?
Another
Yeah.
pragmatic thing I heard was Neil Brennan on a podcast talk about he FaceTimes everyone before they would meet in person because it eliminated a lot of like, oh, I'm not getting catfish or fatfish, and
And like awkward laughs. What if they snort when they laugh? What if they have a
what if they
really
talk like this?
Yeah.
What if it's a lady?
Like, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot out there that you gotta figure
Or
out.
what if it's like crickets? You're like, so you okay?
Oh,
So
if you don't
you're
think I'm funny, deal breaker. I will get up and leave dinner.
yeah.
And the FaceTime
If
stuff.
I'm bringing zingers and you're not,
If
Re-
the three of
really
us can't carry a conversation on with the other person on the other side, then that's a no.
yes.
Yeah, and maybe they have like crippling anxiety that you can't really get through texting with them because you have time to prepare an answer.
Right.
So if you're talking with them, you're like,
Little do you know, it took them an hour
I'm
to
better
write
to
that.
write this. But
Yeah.
it takes me a long time, and you're like, oh, weird. Okay, this is probably not going to work. You know.
Yeah, it will, and I think with COVID right now, that whole that you can slide that in probably easier.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good call. Yeah, that's a better way to kind of weave that in. Hey, I'm trying to be safe, even though I already had it, like herpes, right? And then, yeah.
Is this
but,
your way of telling everybody you have herpes too?
no,
I
I just
mean-
like making a herpes joke because it's going to have a limited lifespan.
So
on
that would be a
joke.
deal breaker. STDs.
Sure,
I'm gonna
yeah.
Put that on my list. None of those
Ones that you
things.
can get rid of because herpes definitely.
You can't get rid of herpes.
I know. I'm
It's a
saying herpes
virus.
would be a deal breaker for sure, but
Right.
there's other ones that you can get rid of.
Well, and then in that way, I would imagine someone would just not tell me about it. Ever.
Oh, there's guys that just don't go to the doctor just because they don't want the diagnosis.
Oh, great. That's great.
That's a lot of guys, by the way.
Okay. Well, see, does this go into my naive column? Well, thankfully, I'm not like out just sleeping with a lot of guys.
Right.
Can I want to finish. There's
Just
one
some
story
guys.
that we were
many guys.
just many, a lot, not like a ton,
Yeah.
a lot.
Just
Some.
a good amount. Yeah.
Yeah.
A smattering. All right.
Which is, we
Is
don't
that
know
all?
what those numbers are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know the demographics either right
Scientists
down until we get the
are still
research
counting.
back. Yeah.
I have a I'm not attracted to certain like ethnicities.
Okay.
But I don't want to say that because I think it's rude, but I do like in terms of like physical attraction.
I tell I tell a lot of people. I tell a lot of white chicks. I don't really date white chicks. So, and it's not because I'm going after it. I just find myself not
That girl
as
that
attractive.
she's so cute.
Yeah, we don't have to bring her up.
Okay. Anyway,
We'll cut that out.
Okay. Well, so when I was can I say this real quick?
Yeah.
Tallahassee, my friends like, hey, let's go out for drinks.
STD capital of Florida, at least.
Oh God. Well, she's like, let's go out
Tallahassee.
drinks. These girls I work with. I'm going back to that story we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Let's go. These girls they have trouble dating. You have trouble dating. Okay, that back there.
Yeah, that's
So,
foisted upon you.
So I'm like, okay. And before I even do it, she's like texting me going, oh, I wouldn't say that she's in the best marriage either. She's kind of, so maybe she's like totally projecting all this stuff onto me. But she's texting me during the day, oh, can't wait for you to meet these girls. They also, so like ratcheting up the level of
taste towards like men in general. I show up.
Oh boy.
I show up at this place, guys. I am not exaggerating. The one girl there's two of them. One of the girls has a lazy eye. She's like, you know, in her late 30s. She's a lazy eye. I can't focus. Like we're talking, and she's like, men are. I can't ever find a good guy. She's okay.
Do you get caught in that awkward thing where you're like, which one
I'm
do I
like,
look
what
at?
do I
Fuck,
do?
which eye do I look at?
The other one,
I always do that.
the other girl was
Pick
at
the wrong
least
one every time.
The other girl was at least 300 pounds. Like, I'm not kidding. And she's telling me, well, I can't ever find a good guy. And I mean, I know I'm a big girl. And I flat out asked her because, look, we're here and she is like, all cards are on the table, right?
Yeah.
I have been thrown into this happy hour where people are mad at men. One has like a horrible husband. One is 300 pounds. The other one has
God, I hope they
a
listen to
little bit
this.
of a lazy eye. I know.
Little lazy.
So it's not a little. It was bad. They're sisters, and she's like, they live together in their late 30s. Sisters, all probably not the best on the dating front. So, I'm like, I asked the girl that's big. I said, so all right, you're saying I'm a big girl. Do you have photos of yourself on? You know, she's talking about online dating. I'm like, do you have full shot photos? And she says, I put in my profile that I'm a bigger girl. You couldn't just look, even if you just looked at her face, like. Top
Nobody
music.
reads that
But she
stuff.
said I put it in my profile, but she said she said I don't feel like my body should matter. And I'm like, well, that might be part you gotta do that. She told me, she's like, a lot of guys just leave. She said some people, she's like, if a guy tells me, if you don't send me a full picture of your whole body, I'm not going out with you. And I'm sitting over here going, well, you know, I think that's valid.
Yeah.
It's not just about that, but it's about not wasting your time. It's not just like
It's not misleading. but
It's not
with-
fair that we have to be like, the body doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's
Like,
with,
no, it definitely does.
well, it kind of matters to that's like an overall. It's not that does not just equal your body. That's like how honest are you?
Yeah.
I mean, it is. It's
Right?
sort of like, let's just be.
what I was saying.
Because if you're sitting in a bar, or like, you know, everyone's like, oh, I don't want to go to a bar. I get it. Like, you don't want to have to meet someone in a bar. So, all right. But if you were, I mean, what makes you look twice at someone is a sense of, you know, obviously,
Right.
naturally at first, it's like, are they attractive?
Like, what? Yeah, what if you just see like a floating head under the table? Like this.
I will
And
not
they come
stand
up and there's a 400 pound. It's like, oh my god! If that happened in real life, you'd be like, what are you doing over there?
yeah, like the lady Saturday
Gotcha.
night that
Could
had a
the
crush on
real
you.
Eric please stand
Right.
up?
Yeah.
Whoa!
Was that
We'll
the
go
lady
to dinner. That was
that
me
lady
being
Saturday
that was
night
Fat Eric. I don't know.
that saw you?
Can
I was
you
like,
make
I need
that
some of
face?
that.
Oh yeah.
Can you make that lemon face?
Which one?
Wait, you get hunted down. You got hunted Saturday night.
Yeah.
Right?
You did?
Yeah.
who?
Well,
I didn't. I wouldn't have.
I
known.
had to get it confirmed.
Eric's someone else's type's type.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, older black ladies like me a lot.
They like me too, apparently.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it might have been the same lady,
Oh, God.
honestly. Yeah, but I was telling Law, I think that's why I dipped out of there the other night.
Scared?
Like, it was like,
It could be road trip. Kidding road
I was
trip.
like, I felt like a child. I was like, where are you? Like, hiding. Like, I was, yeah.
No, Eric pulled a move that was so awesome. Like it should go down in it should go down in history.
What?
I remember it. And you know what? Let me just also say I could be remembering it incorrectly.
No, this
I
is
also
great.
could
Great
be-
start to the story.
good. Well, because that same lady was wanting to dance with me, and I'm like, it got awkward.
Wow.
It got awkward. And then Eric came in and saved the day with the most Mickey Mouse animated. He's like, because he's trying to offset the scenario. He's trying to not be threatening, but also distracting. And he nailed it. He nailed that.
What'd you do, jazz
Roll.
hands?
I don't remember.
He did a little.
I was dancing. Yeah, probably.
I don't know, but it was very in the style of Mickey Mouse. The
Yeah.
dance was in the style of an
Thank you.
animated character.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, it made me think you could nail it with the tap shoes.
Mickey Mouse
We're
Clubhouse.
doing the tap dancing for sure.
She wanted you to come inside. Come inside. All right.
Oh
we
wow!
got
Wow!
it's Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Oh.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Come inside is fun inside.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Well, they weren't doing drugs when they wrote that or
Right.
thinking about anything else.
Have you seen the show?
No, I
Pure
haven't.
drugs, baby.
Oh, yeah, all drugs.
Acid trip.
Goofy's on goofballs, that's for sure. All right, we could do gal pal talk for hours, but we got to cut it off. I don't think we asked you this the last 2 times you're on. If we did, your answer may change. What advice would you give your 13-year-old self?
Just don't worry about the small stuff.
Boom. That's how we'll end it.
Easy peasy.
Thanks for coming on,
Thanks, guys.
empathcoaching.com.
Thank you.
What about my sweat equity? Sweat equity. Sweat equity. My sweat equity. My sweat equity. What about my sweat equity?